Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the news from Saba Satellite Channel from Marib. Here are tonight's top stories.
Member of Presidential Leadership Tariq Saleh reviews military readiness with the Chief of Staff.
Human Rights Committee holds public hearing for detention victims in Aden.
Consultations underway to form competence-based new government.
Welcome back into the details. Tariq Saleh, a member of the Presidential Leadership Council, met with Saqir bin Aziz, Chief of the General Staff and Commander of Joint Operations, to review the latest military updates and field arrangements. During the meeting, bin Aziz briefed the PLC member on the current operational situation, outlining levels of combat readiness across various fronts, as well as progress made in training and military qualification programs.
He also reviewed efforts to strengthen operational coordination among deployed units, emphasizing ongoing measures to enhance the armed forces' defensive and operational capabilities. For his part, Tariq Saleh praised the sacrifices of armed forces personnel across different fronts, stressing the importance of maintaining high readiness and cohesion during this critical phase. He reaffirmed the Presidential Leadership Council's commitment to supporting the military institution and providing the necessary assistance to ensure stability and effective performance on the ground.
Prime Minister Shaya Zindani has directed the Ministry of Electricity and Energy, relevant authorities and local administrations, to enforce strict oversight and governance measures for the distribution and use of fuel allocated to power generation. The directive follows the delivery of fuel shipments provided through a Saudi grant worth $81.2 million, designated to operate more than 70 electricity generation plants in liberated governorates. Zindani stressed that the government will take firm action against any misuse, corruption, or diversion of the fuel outside its intended purpose, holding administrative and technical leadership fully accountable. He instructed daily field monitoring and transparent reporting on fuel movement from receipt to operation at power stations to ensure stable electricity services for citizens. The Prime Minister also praised Saudi Arabia's continued support through the Saudi Program for the Development and Reconstruction of Yemen, describing the grant as vital for stabilizing electricity supply and supporting essential services.
In government affairs, a senior government source has confirmed that Prime Minister Shaya Zindani is continuing intensive consultation to form a new government based on competence and professional expertise. The source told the Yemeni news agency that the consultations are focused on selecting a cohesive ministerial team capable of meeting the demands of the current exceptional phase and improving institutional performance and public services. The process is expected to be completed in the coming days. According to the source, the selection criteria are guided by the clear standards set by Rashad Al-Alimi, including integrity, professional competence, proven experience, and a clean administrative record, with a priority given to economic, services, and security reforms. The source added that forming the new government comes alongside progress in restoring state authority and unified military and security decision-making, requiring decisive and coordinated leadership. The source also praised Saudi Arabia's continued support, describing it as a key factor in strengthening state institutions and supporting stability.
Minister of State and Aden Governor Abdurrahman Sheikh met with the project director of UNESCO to discuss ways to strengthen the protection of the city's cultural heritage and support related interventions. During the meeting, the governor stressed the importance of expanding cooperation with UNESCO to preserve Aden's historical legacy, reaffirming the local authorities' readiness to provide all necessary facilitation for ongoing and future projects. The discussions reviewed UNESCO's upcoming programs, progress in the restoration of historic houses in Crater District, and challenges facing implementation. Both sides also explored the possible reactivation of Aden's early warning system, currently under UNESCO study, to enhance preparedness and reduce disaster risks. In a separate meeting, the governor discussed with an international relief organization delegation steps to resume beneficiary registration in several districts, emphasizing transparent procedures and uninterrupted humanitarian assistance.
In human rights developments, the National Committee to investigate alleged human rights violations held a public group hearing today in the interim capital Aden for victims of arbitrary detention and enforced disappearance since 2015. During the session, committee members listened to direct testimonies from victims and family members detailing cases of unlawful arrest, enforced disappearance and related violations. The accounts included descriptions of home raids, deprivation of liberty, and the humanitarian and psychological impact on victims and their families, supported by documents and factual information. Participants called for the release of detainees, accountability for those responsible, and fair compensation for victims. The committee said the hearings are part of its legal mandate and transitional just rule aimed at documenting violations, upholding victims' dignity, protecting personal data, and reinforcing accountability and the rule of law.
In a related context, the National Committee to investigate alleged human rights violations held an expanded meeting today with local authorities in the Socotra archipelago to review human rights, humanitarian and security conditions in the governorate. Local officials welcomed the visit, stressing the importance of assessing residents' needs, particularly in health and education, as the seasonal monsoon approaches, when some islands face isolation that disrupts access to basic services. The committee's deputy head, Hussein Al-Mashdali, said the committee is closely monitoring civil, social and environmental rights in Socotra, including public freedoms and protection from administrative abuses. The meeting also addressed environmental concerns related to protected areas in line with international conventions safeguarding natural heritage. As part of the visit, committee members inspected the central prison in Hadibo, reviewed detainees' legal conditions, and assessed their treatment.
Questions are growing over the nature of weekly demonstrations in Aden. Are they a genuine expression of public frustration or an organized attempt to restore the political presence of the Southern Transitional Council after a decline in this influence? The following report highlights the messages behind these protests and what this moment could mean for Aden's future.
Are Aden protests an attempt to revive the STC or a genuine expression of the Southern Street? In Al Urul Square in the city of Aden, demonstrations affiliated with the Southern Transitional Council STC takes place every Friday, raising secessionist flags and at times calling for the return of the fugitive Aidarus al-Zubaydi, and at other times demanding the release of STC leaders allegedly detained in Riyadh. These protests appear closer to an attempt to revive an entity that has lost its political and military influence following its dissolution and removal from Yemen's political equation. For years, the STC remained the dominant actor in Aden, accused of suppressing, assassinating, and eliminating any voice that called for the basic public services for citizens. Yet today, its supporters raised slogans about services and the collapse of living conditions during these demonstrations. Where was the Council's role when it controlled security and services institutions? And where did the resources go that media reports say ended up in suspicious personal accounts? According to observers, these protests amount to little more than an effort to disrupt the security scene, muddle the situation, and create a state of chaos. The demonstrations don't appear to be genuine acts of protest as much as the mobilization of crowds, raising racist slogans, provoking neighboring countries, and insulting prominent Arab figures with significant influence regionally and internationally. In contrast, measures taken by internationally recognized government with support from the Saudi-led Arab coalition indicate a clear direction toward restoring state authority, ending disorder, and strengthening institutional rules and serving society, particularly following the UAE's withdrawal and the end of the STC's political and military rule. The situation in Aden suggests a shift in the balance of power, fading influence leadership that has left the scene, and a public increasingly aware of the cost of the temporary projects. Between calls for protests and citizens' questions, the central issue remains: will the STC succeed in returning through the street, or is Aden writing the final chapter of a long chapter this time?
For continuous updates, stay with Saba Satellite Channel. Thank you for watching and have a good time.
Have a good time.